There she is, 2020 GT500. Let's get in there and do the first drive, boys. And let's go ahead and turn track mode exhaust on. Let's get you some revs here, boys. See what she really sounds like. This car is so loud. That's factory exhaust. Factory. All right, let's get in there and go do the first drive. Alright, now I know what you guys are thinking. Why is JoeSTi doing car reviews? Well, I wanted to broaden my horizons a little bit, bring a little bit more action to the channel. It's wintertime right now, it's cold out, so I think I'll capture a lot more crowd with this, and I think a lot of you bike guys like me are car guys. So we're going to get out and review this 2020 GT500 and show you guys what it's all about. Something that I'm not really used to in a sports car, but it's an automatic. Only available in auto. So here we are in the 2020 GT500. Now, this is a Shelby GT500, but it's not like any GT500 before it. This is no longer the point and shoot car that it used to be, where the Shelby GT500 used to just be a track monster in a straight line. Take it to the drag strip, that's about all you could do with the car. Well, not anymore. This is more like a GT350 with a lot more horsepower. So this thing does have 760 horsepower and 625 foot-pounds of torque off the showroom floor. So it's extremely fast in a straight line, but this car also has 16.5-inch front brakes on it to get it slowed down. An extremely stiff chassis, corners phenomenally. We're gonna be doing some track days with this car, guys. And I mean, it's just such a well-rounded car. This thing has, it surprised me a ton. Like, watch. So much power. So much power. Just from everywhere. It's so fast. Straight off the showroom floor. Not only does it have all this power, but it puts it down in such a phenomenal way. I mean, it's not all over the place. You put it in track mode and you can kick off traction control, but still leave stability control on. So the car doesn't feel like it's just gonna fly off the road. You know, the back end's not just gonna come around on you. It's very refined in the way it delivers the power. Now this does have a Tremec dual clutch 7-speed transmission. I wasn't sold on it when I bought the car, honestly. I'm like most car guys. I need a manual transmission. I'm like, why did they not offer a manual transmission in the Shelby? And after driving it, I now understand. It all makes sense. This transmission is so good. It is so good, guys. I mean, the shifts are extremely fast, and the gears are surprisingly long. It's got really long legs on it. It's got a 373 rear end on it, but it makes it so much more fun to drive. Now, a manual is always fun. It's fun rowing gears, but you can't beat the transmission. It's so fast, and it knows exactly how you want to play. So if I'm just driving normal, you know, like right now I'm in sport mode, and it shifts, you know, 2,500, 3,000 RPMs. But as soon as I give it everything it's got, and I get hard on the brakes or I start throwing it into corners, the transmission knows that you want to play, and it just keeps you up in those revs. Like, it'll just start aggressive downshifting and keep you up in that 5,000-6,000 RPM because it knows what you're doing and it knows how to compensate for that. So it knows you're ready to play, and it's ready. Ford did a lot of people a lot of favors with this car. They put a 2.65 liter blower on it, the same blower that's in the ZR1, the C7 ZR1. For a stock car is a really big blower. A lot of guys have been pushing these things to over 1,000 wheel horsepower on the stock blower. So, I mean, with minimal bolt-on mods and E85, you can unlock another 300 wheel horsepower and make this thing into a drag race monster. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna be doing a lot of track days with it, so I'm gonna leave it relatively close to stock, just because 1,000 horsepower on a road course is not something you want. I mean, to be honest with you, 760 horsepower is gonna be a handful, but Ford did a phenomenal job on all the aids on this car, the stability control, the traction control. It really keeps you under control on the track so that even if you're making some mistakes, it keeps the car from spinning out, the back end coming around. You know, the car will save you faster than you can save yourself, basically. Now, one of the cool things about this transmission is, like a lot of supercars, it gives you the option of free rev. So all you have to do is pull both of the paddles in at the same time, neutral. That's right. Oh man. The downshifts on this car just sound menacing too. It rev matches and downshifts so perfectly. Now when you change modes in this car, going from normal to sport to track mode, that also changes how the transmission reacts to you, where it shifts, and how fast it shifts. So going all the way into track mode, it will kick traction control off and leave stability control on. The other modes, sport and normal, leave traction control on, but you can mix and match. I mean, you can go into sport mode and just turn traction control off if you don't want it, and even turn stability control off if you don't want it, if you just want to be a hooligan. It gives you that option, and it also gives you the option to set up My Mode, which My Mode is essentially your preferred settings, and you just put it in that, and it remembers everything that you like about traction control, stability control, what exhaust mode to go into, and the exhaust changes notes in each mode, and you can manually change the modes on the exhaust separate from the modes that the car is in. So if you want a loud exhaust, you can put it in track mode and still leave it in normal for regular shift points, slower shifting, better economy. So you have a lot of options to mix and match. Guys, this thing gets absolutely horrendous fuel economy though. I mean, I just filled up and the car has 132 miles on it. It had a full tank of gas when I got it from the dealership. I think I'm averaging like 8.5 miles per gallon, but I've been beating on it pretty hard. That's the other thing, is the fuel tank is really not that big. I'm not sure exactly how big it is, but I was 30 miles to empty and filled it up, and it only took a little over 11 gallons. So I would think it's in the 12 to 13 gallon range, and it doesn't get good gas mileage. So be ready to hit the pumps a lot. I think this is actually one of the loudest cars I have ever driven, just straight off the showroom floor. I don't even know if I need to put an exhaust on this car. It sounds so good. Ford nailed it on that. They absolutely nailed the exhaust note. This thing sounds menacing when you want it to be, and it even has a quiet mode on the exhaust. So if you want to tiptoe around town without any cops knowing, throw it in quiet mode. All right, guys, here's a little bit of twisties for you. Handles them so well. No chassis roll. Tons of power. Tons of braking. And there you go. The transmission just knows you're in play mode. It just knows. So much power. This has an uncontrollable amount of power. Those downshifts too. Huge brakes, tons of braking force. Oh man. Another downshift. It's so good. I mean, this car just sounds so good from the factory. one of the astonishing numbers that Ford actually put out, saying that the automatic transmission in this, being a dual clutch transmission, actually only has 11% parasitic loss to the rear tires. That means that more of your power, the 760 horsepower, is making it all the way to the ground. Where a normal transmission typically loses 15%, they're only losing 11. I've seen a lot of these cars on the dyno, and in stock trim, they're making 690 to 700 at the tire, which is ridiculous. I mean, that falls right in line with that 11% number, so it's very believable. I've got to tell you guys, I didn't think this thing would impress me as much as it has and how well it handles. I had a Corvette Z06, a C7, and I would put this right up there with it. Now, it does feel heavier than the Corvette, but it handles it so well. This car weighs right around 4,200 pounds, but it doesn't feel like it's 4,200 pounds. It more so feels like a 3,500 pound car, and you can just toss it around and it takes it. Another cool feature this car has, hold the left paddle, put you in optimal gear, and hammer time. Jesus! Oh yeah, it knows we want to play. It's so much power. I'm gonna be spending so much money on gas and tires in this car. It's gonna be ridiculous. I bet I get through these tires within 1,000 miles, guys. I can't stay out of it. It just like entices you. It's like, all right, let's go. Let's go. You know I can put the power down. You know it's gonna be controlled, and you know I'm just gonna pin your head against the seat. It's so good. It's so good. Slingshots out of corners. Eats them up like nothing. It's so crazy that just anybody can walk into a showroom and buy a 760 horsepower Mustang. Like, yep, I've got a driver's license. Give me that one. The one with 760 horsepower. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, they should really make you take a high performance test before you're allowed to buy something like this. I can't get over how good those downshifts sound. It sounds so good. Perfect rev match every time. Crisp downshifts, crisp upshifts. What's not to like about this transmission? I don't think I'm gonna miss a manual at all. At all. This is the future. Dual clutch transmission is where it's at, guys. Now, dealers are price gouging these things extremely bad just because they're so rare and production was shut down because of the virus. So there's not many of them out there. They only produced, I think, right around 6,000 of these in 2020. I called probably 10 dealerships before I found one. Just one dealer that would agree to sell me the car at MSRP. They are wanting anywhere from $5,000 upwards of $30,000 over sticker. If you get a carbon pack, 30 grand over sticker. Dealers will laugh at you for anything less. I walked into a dealership that had one marked up 10 grand over, ready to buy it, saying, give it to me for sticker. And they laughed at me. They're like, oh no, sir, no. These things aren't going for sticker. But if you're looking for a GT500, there are dealers out there that'll sell them a sticker. Just call around, do your due diligence, and make sure you get the best deal you can. On the bad side of that, though, you may not get all the options you want. This car does not have the Recaro race seats. That was an option that I really wanted. That was the only thing that this car doesn't have that I really wanted. Though these stock seats, actually, they hold you in there really nicely. This is a tight and twisty mountain that I hit on the bikes all the time. Let's see how the car handles it. No body roll, back end came around a little bit, tons of power, heavy on the brakes, it. It's like, where do you want me to go? Want me to follow that line? Let's do it. It's so controlled for a 760 horsepower rear-wheel drive car. It's confidence inspiring. It lets you put the car wherever you want it, and the driver aids just help if it gets a little bit too crazy. Back end comes around, driver aids are here to help. Said, oh no sir, too much throttle there. Driver aids here to help. Alright guys, that about does it for the first drive of the 2020 Shelby GT500. This car is going to be around the channel for a long time, so I'm going to be making a lot of content with it, and don't worry, the bikes are going nowhere. Actually, the turbo did just arrive for the Busa, and also I did get the new clutch in for the H2, so as long as weather permits, I'll be getting the H2 back out. But let me know what you guys thought about this, and if you guys do like the car content as well, because I plan to kind of mix it up both with car and bike content for the future. So we're going to be taking this thing to probably National Corvette Museum at Ohio, do some road course track days with it. Going to be taking it to the drag strip, testing it out there, and probably maybe even running a few bikes. So thanks for watching. Till next time, guys.